السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. لعل البروفيسور حسين بهاروند الخبير في الخلايا الجذعية والبيولوجيا التنموية من إيران يستحق بجدارة التكريم والفوز بجائزة المصطفى للعلوم والتكنولوجيا في عام 2019، وفي جعبته عدد من الميداليات والجوائز التكريمية العالمية، فهو العالم المتميز ومؤسس ومدير معهد رويان لبيولوجيا الخلايا الجذعية والتكنولوجيا. نتعرف أكثر على الأستاذ حسين بهاروند في خاص من الداخل العقول الجميلة. معكم زينب صفار، تابعونا. Professor Hussein Behharound, Distinguished Professor of Stem Cells and Developmental Biology at Royan Institute. As a matter of fact, you are the founder also and director of Royan Institute for Stem Cell Biology and Technology and the laureate of Musطفى Prize in the year 2019. Many thanks indeed for joining us, sir. It's a pure pleasure to have you on this من الداخل special Beautiful Minds. And we also, we're joined with Dr. Mas'ud Wusuq, head of the Regenerative Medicine Department and also a close colleague of our dear laureate, Dr. Behharound. Distinguished guests, many thanks indeed again for joining us. And we're going to start our interview to talk first about the laureate and to talk about the importance of getting recognized today by an institute or by a foundation like Musطفى Prize Foundation.
First of all, thank you very much to invite us to join your program. Musطفى Prize is important for me due to some issues. The first is bring the scientists from different countries. Mm-hmm. And the interaction of the scientist is one of the ways, important ways, to grow science in different countries, especially in Muslim countries. Mm-hmm. Moreover, this results in to generate unity in Muslim country in science. Mm-hmm. So I think science results in unity in Muslim country.
Of course, maybe we come from different countries, from different cultures, from different races, different languages, but always science is the common denominator, is the field that unites us all for the betterment of humanity.
Yeah, and the science, mm-hmm. I think the third issue, in my opinion, mm-hmm. is a gift from Allah to human.
Sure.
And this prize recognized with Musطفى sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. So that's also important for us, mm-hmm. This prize, because there is a relation between the gift of Allah and the name of Holy Shrine.
Right, bless your heart, sir. And you are also a gift from Allah to us, to your country, to the Islamic world, in the quality of research that you do. Allow me to ask Dr. Wusuq, and we have to thank Dr. Behharound because he introduced you to us, and you are the head of the Regenerative Department at Royan Institute, which we are going to detail about with Dr. Behharound. But please introduce this department and what type of therapy does it give or offer, and what cases do they or do you work on, sir?
Okay, thank you for having me here. First of all, I would like to define regenerative medicine. Mm-hmm. Regenerative medicine is a new discipline in medicine. You know, life expectancy during recent years increased in all countries. When there is an increase in the life expectancy all over the world, we will face a tragic situation. It means when people getting elder and elder, they are losing their capabilities. They became disabled. In regenerative medicine, we are going to restore or replace damaged organs. I mean, we are going to induce regeneration in the organs or tissues which lost their physiologic activity. This is the definition of regenerative
So you make
medicine.
the old young again?
We are going to improve the quality of life.
That's
in
an optimistic
elderly
view.
people.
That's a very
Yes.
nice view. Yes.
And based on this fact, we developed different, strategies in regenerative medicine in different categories and disciplines of medicine. For example, if I want to talk about orthopedic disorders, fractures and orthopedic disorders and pain in joints are very common all over the world.
True.
We are using stem cell technology to help to facilitate the regeneration of bones and bone-related organs like cartilages using this stem cell technology to help people to gain their physical activities, to restore their physical activities. Because, because of chronic pains in joints, people stop doing physical activities. But with this science, we can help them to do it.
Allow me just, sir, to stop you now for a while, but allow me to move back to Dr. Behaaround, and I would like to know what aspect of your research, your innovative research, has won you the Musطفى Prize, this recognition.
Actually, we established around 16 years ago the first human embryonic stem cell line. And in 2008, the first human-induced pluripotent stem cell line. This opened new windows to us in science, and to work on different cells and different disciplines established in Royal Institute, to work to how to use these cells to improve the quality of life of human, and use these cells how to differentiate into a desired cell. For example, we can generate human beating cardiomyocytes, human beating heart cells in vitro, in the lab. We can generate human neuronal cells in vitro, nerve cells in vitro.
Right.
So this gives us this opportunity to see how a human cell can develop.
Exactly.
Because it's not, otherwise we don't have other tools to see how a human develop. Moreover, these cells give this opportunity to us to translate science from basic to translational research in animal models.
Right.
So we, in one of the, for example, in one of our research, we have generated Parkinson model of in mouse.
In a mouse, yes.
And
I've
then
seen that.
and then in monkey. I'm not sure if you are familiar with Parkinson.
Sure.
Muhammad Ali Clay, the boxer.
Of course, he
Muhammad
had
Ali Clay is
Parkinson.
one of the symbol of Parkinson disease. Unfortunately, just 3 years after his retirement, in 43, he got this disease for 30 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are you doing in this sense to help in the treatment of Parkinson?
Actually, initially we generated the model in mouse, and then in around 10 years ago. For 5 years in mouse and then 5 years in monkey. We generated the model of Parkinson's disease. Then we have differentiated the stem cells into the cells that can generate dopamine. Dopamine is a substance that normally generates in a specific part of our brain. And when it is low, the disease of Parkinson will appear, will emerge.
So the lower they become, the more intense the Parkinson becomes.
Yeah. So we differentiate the stem cells into the progenitors, the cells that later will generate dopamine, dopaminergic cells. Dopaminergic cells means the producer of dopamine. And when we generate these progenitors in vitro, we transplanted them into the brain of the models. And we observed 6 months after transplantation, the animals will improved.
Improved, actually.
And the improvement continue up to 2 years.
Right.
It means the procedure was stable, and also it was reproducible. That's
Okay, he was on the way to get healed or just improving the situation of the Parkinson?
They were healed.
They were healed.
Yeah,
okay, in 2 years.
In 2 years. Actually, the initial improvement was demonstrated in the initial months, and then after 6 months, they improved more than 80%, and after 2 years, they were stable, and they reached to 95% improvement in disease.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we not only evaluate the behavior of animals in improvement, but also we evaluated the animals by some imaging systems such as SPECT-CT. That's a specific, imaging system. And we observed our cells are in brain and produce dopamine.
Right. Allow me just now, distinguished guests, to stop for a short break, and then I will come back to talk with Dr. Wusoog about the neurodegenerative approach, diseases and your approach in trying to treat them. But allow us to stop for a short break. إذا فاصل قصير ونعود، لا تذهبوا بعيدا. دكتور مسعود وثوق، رئيس قسم الطب التجديدي في معهد رويان لبيولوجيا الخلايا الجذعية وتقنياتها، وزميل مقرب من البروفيسور حسين بهاروند، يحدثنا أكثر عن أمراض التنكس العصبي وما الذي تعنيه وأي مقاربة يستخدم لمعالجتها.
Neurodegenerative disorders are very common neurological disease nowadays. Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, ALS, MS. These are all main problems nowadays for physicians all over the world. These disorders are progressive. It means the condition of patients getting worse every day, and you can see this problem. And the problem is, with these neurodegenerative disorders, patients have to live for many years. They are disabled, they need care, their family is involved, the health economy affected, because they should pay for many years for these patients. So this is the reason, as I told you, World Health Organization introduced these disorders as the main challenge for next decade for human being.
Sure.
What we are doing for these disorders, we don't have any commercial service for these disorders. We just have clinical trials. We are doing clinical investigation on volunteers who are interested to test new cell-based therapies for these disorders. For example, when we have the approval of ethical committee to start a clinical trial for example, patients with MS or ALS, we have some volunteers who are suffering from these disorders.
And what is the result so far, sir?
What do you mean results?
I mean, this clinical trials, what did they come up with?
Exactly. When they are, candidate, we inject some specific cells which are stop this degeneration in these patients. We specified different kind of cells based on physiologic properties, and these cells can help these patients to improve the quality of life, to stop the progression of disease. We are not talking about, cure or healing of these disorders. We are talking about stopping the progression of disease, because all of them are very progressive and, morbid and mortal, These are technical terms.
Sure, sure.
But we are using specific cells to help patients suffering from this chronic disease to improve their quality of life and to stop and block the progression of disease in neurodegenerative disorders.
Right, so it seems, Dr. Behaaround, that Royan is a very vibrant hub for approaching many disorders, many diseases through the technology that... Can you tell us more about Royan Institute in this sense? And when you talk about stem cell technology, biology, treatment, what does it mean?
Okay. Royan in Persian means embryo.
Sure.
And also means ever-growing.
And that's why...
So that's the reason Royan is growing,
ever growing.
And try to different works. Actually, Royan Institute was established around 28 years ago as an infertility treatment center.
In 1995, I think.
Yeah, something like that. And now it is one of the biggest infertility treatment center in the Middle East. Additionally, we started to perform some research in stem cells around 20 years ago. Then Royan established 3 institutes. At the moment, Royan includes 3 institutes. One is Royan Institute for Reproductive Medicine. The second that especially focus on human infertility and how to treat the infertile couples.
True.
The second one is Royan Institute for Biotech, that's in Isfahan. And the third one is Royan Institute for Stem Cell Biology and Technology. We have science and application of science. This terminology...
That all come under the umbrella of science.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is quite different with the division of science into basic and
applicable.
Therefore, in Royan Institute, we removed the border in science. And different disciplines, including biologists, engineers, and physicians, all together work together from generation of science to translation of science and then application of science.
True.
To increase the quality of life and health of humans.
And you have been very successful, whether Royan Institute in Tehran or Royan Institute in Isfahan. I visited the place. You are so exquisite and successful. And I know from the feedback of the people, actually. Some people who traveled from various areas across the Middle East, they came to Royan Institute and the result was just excellent.
Thank you. This is also, I think, this is kind of Allah to
Sure,
us.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing. Dr. Wusook, my last question for you, and it's out of the box. How do you describe Dr. Behaaround? I know he's your boss, so you don't have just. How do you describe him as a person?
Okay.
You know, you tend to see him more than he sees his family.
I think so. Yeah.
Sure.
It's many years I know him. He's very, very hard working.
Sure, he has to be.
Active.
He's the boss.
Yeah. But also he is kind and emotional, you know.
Yes, yes.
It's not easy to collect different, aspects in one person. For example, being boss and also being kind. It's not easy, but he's, as I told you, he's very hard working and he's very kind. And
He combines this religiosity, you know, this
Yeah.
religious aspect,
Yeah.
this approach towards God with his daily life
Exactly.
proceedings. Sure, sure.
I'm sure he's a great, we call it in Farsi mu'min.
Mu'min, yes, he's
Yeah.
very faithful.
Yeah, and I hope he deserves success because he's hardworking, and you know his attitude is very, very great, and he loves big challenges. It's we don't have any problem. We just have some challenges, and
Sure.
he loves big challenges.
Curiosity and big challenges.
Exactly.
Sure.
He think about big things, not ordinary or small things. This is what I know him as my boss, my colleague, and I can say great friend for many years.
Sure.
And
Sure.
inshallah, he will be more successful in future.
Inshallah. Dr. Hussein Bهاروند, Mustafa Prize Laureate for the year 2019. You know, it's not that you deserve this prize, but the prize would have the honor of having your name on its plate. This is what I think. You have done a lot. Many thanks indeed. And Dr. Wusuq also, many thanks indeed for joining us on this special interview, من الداخل special, Beautiful Minds. It's always a pleasure to have you, distinguished guest.
Thank you very
Beautiful
much.
Thank you.
mind. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. إذا لقاء جديد في الأسبوع المقبل مع ضيف جديد بقضية جديدة ودائما من الداخل. للمزيد من التواصل تابعونا على صفحات السوشيال ميديا. من كل فريق عمل البرنامج من كل الميادين من طهران. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.